On April 14, 2009, 19-year-old Sarah Ludemann was killed by her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend while she was looking for a lifetime of love, but met a tragic end. Born on December 7, 1990, Sarah Ludemann was the only child of Charles Ludemann, a cab driver, and Gay Ludemann, who served as a surgical nurse. After 16 years of marriage, the Ludemanns moved from New York to Pinellas Park, Florida. Throughout her early years, Sarah had been slightly overweight. It was nothing, but she was often bullied by her classmates, which led to the feeling of insecurity and low self-esteem. Sarah was doing really well in high school, and her parents were proud of her. They liked that she was studying to be a veterinarian. But then Sarah met a guy named Joshua Camacho, and things started to change for her. Joshua and his brother were famous for fights and dating girls for funs in Pinellas Park. At 16, Sarah met Joshua Camacho, and they started dating. She had never had a boyfriend before. Sarah's parents doubted Joshua's loyalty towards their daughter. He was abusive and dated girls just for fun. He even hit Sarah, which led to face injuries. Despite this, Sarah didn't take legal action against him and assured her parents that Joshua made her feel exceptionally joyful. Her feelings for Joshua were so intense that she even left her studies at a former high school and enrolled at Pinellas Park High School to stay close to him. But Joshua frequently met his ex-girlfriend, Rachel Wade. Rachel was born to Barry and Janet Wade on February 27, 1990. She grew up in an ordinary middle-class family in America. She was well-behaved in her childhood and liked Disney princesses, reading, and drawing. At 15, Rachel's behavior changed. She frequently argued with her family, especially with her mother. When things didn't go as she wanted, she would leave without informing anyone. Initially, Rachel's parents brought her back home whenever she ran away. However, as these instances happened frequently, they took police assistance to locate her. It becomes so frequent that the Pinellas Park police officers become familiar with Wade's family. Rachel had a weakness, which was also a big concern for her family. She was obsessed with boys and would do anything to draw their attention. But her relationship used to be short-lived. Once she found a new guy, she would leave the previous one. In early 2007, Rachel's parents were frustrated with her behavior as she started physically assaulting them. When she told her parents about moving in with her boyfriend, her parents didn't even care to know or stop her. Their relationship was tense like every other relationship. They even called Pinellas Park police several times over the domestic disputes. Eventually, they broke up and ended it on a sour note. But Rachel didn't care when she met Joshua. He was just the kind of bad boy Rachel loved to date. For a time, Joshua managed his relationship with Sarah and Rachel perfectly, as Sarah had a curfew time of 11 p.m., and Rachel worked as a waitress at Applebee's restaurant, and her shifts often ended much later. Sarah and Joshua's relationship was a roller coaster of breakups and makeups. Despite being deeply in love with Joshua and aware of his unfaithfulness, Sarah found it hard to stay away for long. The status of the relationships between the three was complicated, as girls constantly tried to compete with Joshua. This rivalry involved openly challenging and confronting each other. Incidents included slashed tires, shattered car mirrors, and heated confrontations on the sidewalks. Among other immature and disgraceful behavior, this led to emotional distress but never escalated to physical violence. On April 14, 2009, Sarah was upset throughout the day after discovering Joshua's revived connection with Rachel. She texted him multiple times and expressed her feelings about him and Rachel. When Joshua didn't respond, she messaged him, "You say you love me, but you don't have the decency to text me back." To this, Joshua finally replied, "Bring the movies." Despite his silence regarding her concerns about the love triangle, Sarah immediately went to Joshua's house to meet him. Meanwhile, Rachel took a day off to spend some time with Joshua. However, Joshua refused to meet her, stating he had to look after his sister, Janet Camacho, at her home. Rachel decided to find the truth and drove to Janet's house. She got annoyed when she saw Sarah's mother's car parked in the driveway. She drove near the house multiple times, and Joshua, Sarah, Janet, and Janet's friend noticed her actions. That evening, Rachel sent multiple texts to Joshua and asked him about Sarah and their relationship. In one message, she stated, "Now I know why you're not talking to me, because you got her." Joshua repeatedly told her to leave and claimed he didn't have feelings for her. However, he planned to meet her later. Rachel consistently drove along the street. She provoked Sarah by shouting from her car window, "I'm going to stab you. You and your Mexican boyfriend." Sarah texted her parents and informed them of her delayed return. Instead of disclosing Rachel's obsessive behavior, she told them she was finishing a game. After midnight, Sarah realized that she had exceeded her curfew limit of being outside. Rachel hadn't been seen for quite a while. Considering it was safe, Sarah left. While driving, Sarah met his friend Ashley at a signal. Ashley told her that Rachel was at the home of Javier Leboy, Rachel's ex-boyfriend. Sarah decided to confront Rachel and went to Javier's place. Rachel, who had earlier packed a kitchen knife in her purse for protection, stood in front of Sarah's car outside the house. They both started fighting with each other. Sarah, Janet, and Janet's friend quickly left the car and ran towards Rachel. As the fight escalated, Rachel stabbed Sarah twice, with one in the shoulder and the other injuring her heart. Sarah was fatally injured, but still managed to contact Joshua to explain the events. Joshua went to the Ludemann's residence and informed Sarah's parents about the stabbing. Her father quickly drove to the scene. Meanwhile, Javier called 911 and removed his shirt to stop Sarah's bleeding.
What is your emergency?
There's a girl laying on the ground bleeding in the middle of the road.
Could you tell where she's bleeding from?
It was right around her heart area.
What happened?
Rachel! She stabbed her.
Okay, where on the body is the patient stabbed?
In the chest.
Rachel walked over to a nearby bench and threw the knife into the neighboring property. The police arrived and interrogated Rachel and the witnesses. Joshua and multiple witnesses confirmed that Rachel had stabbed Sarah. The investigators immediately took Rachel into custody. Rachel was charged with second-degree murder and held in Pinellas County Jail. She planned for her release on phone calls with friends and family and believed a jury would recognize her actions as self-defense. Her bail was set at $500,000. On April 15, 2009, around 2:20 a.m., Sarah was declared dead at Northside Hospital as a result of fatal heart injuries. The investigations revealed that Joshua had been dating Rachel Sarah and Aaron Slothauer for approximately 8 months. Aaron was already pregnant with Joshua's child, while Sarah and Rachel competed for Joshua's affection. The trial began on July 20, 2010, starting with jury selection. Prosecutors stated Sarah and Rachel's history to establish the motive for the murder. Rachel's attorney argued that she acted in self-defense. The attorney further stated that Rachel feared Sarah's significant physical strength. He also mentioned a physical fight where both girls engaged in hair pulling before the stabbing. He referenced the Applebee's fight, where Sarah and her friends confronted Rachel and mocked her. According to the police records, Sarah filed a report to the police after this incident and claimed that Rachel continuously called her and left threatening voicemails. The jury heard one of these voicemails that Sarah had saved 8 months earlier, revealing Rachel's intention to kill Sarah. Rachel testified that Sarah suddenly stopped the car, nearly hitting her.
Yes, it said that they were going to find my car and follow me, and she threatened to kill me.
However, authorities and prosecution witnesses contradicted Rachel's narrative, claiming that Sarah never had the chance to leave the car, and it was Rachel who initiated the assault. They also said Rachel stabbed Sarah hard enough that the knife was bent. Rachel was found guilty of second-degree murder. On September 3, 2010, she was sentenced to 27 years in prison.
State of Florida versus Rachel Wade, murder in the second degree. We, the jury, find as follows: ask that the defendant in this case. The defendant is guilty of murder in the second degree as charged.
She filed an appeal against her conviction in 2011, which was rejected on February 17, 2012. Rachel is held at the Lowell Correctional Institution's Lowell Annex, located 10 miles north of Ocala, Florida. If she demonstrates good behavior during her time in prison, she will become eligible for parole in 20 years at the age of 40.